BFFs, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Shalita Maxine and you are officially a BFF. So jumping straight into this tutorial, I'm cleaning my client's face off with some witch hazel, of course, and hydrating her skin with some Evian facial spray. This helps to keep the skin moisturized underneath the primer. Priming, of course, I'm using my NARS Pore and Shine Control, and I'm also using my MAC Sprout in the shade Onyx to start her brows. Now this tutorial is going to be a lot different than my regular tutorials because I'm actually trying to show you guys the product. I've got a lot of comments that said, hey, can you show us the product? And I always forget. So I may forget some, but that's towards the end. For the beginning, I'm pretty good with showing the product. Also, I'll be trying some new angles, so if you guys like these new angles, you'll see the clips throughout the video. Let me know in the comment section and then I'll know to continue to do it this way. It was like very oddly satisfying when I watched it back. I was like, oh wow, I really like this. It's really pleasing to the eyes. Using my e.l.f. concealers, of course, I'm using the Hydrating Camo and the regular Camo. Hydrating is more of a satin finish, whereas the regular Camo is more of a matte finish. So I'll be using the medium warm, which is the lighter shade on the tail of her brow, and then I'll be using deep olive on the beginning of her brow, using none other than the Max Precision 721 concealer brush to carve these brows. This beauty also happens to be a local makeup artist here in Dallas. You guys know I'm always looking for face models, so if you are in the area, definitely reach out to me on Caked by Max on Instagram. And she happens to be a BFF, so I know you're watching this. Hey boo. I was so impressed. She was like, I was like introducing myself. I'm like, yes, my name is Shalita. She's like, oh, I'm a BFF. I know. I'm like, yes. I was so here for that. So I'll definitely leave her tag in the description box. You guys can go check her out. She does makeup and hair. So yes, definitely go support my girl. This is the very aesthetically pleasing part of the video. I have a few in here like this, I believe. But y'all, this is so satisfying to watch. I put this in there, like I literally did not have to put this clip in there, but I'm like, no, this is so pleasing to the eyes. So I hope you guys enjoyed that clip as much as I did. I'm going back in with that MAC brow just to fill in anything that needed to be filled in. I didn't want her brows super duper dark, and I did want to create those hair-like strokes in the beginning of her brow, as you guys can see. I also went ahead and took some Max holds, and I tacked her hairs down in her brows with the Max hold. And yes, it is lash and glitter glue. Quick little tip. So for the top of her brow, I am using the deep cinnamon shade in the e.l.f. concealers, and her face is visibly darker than the rest of her body, but don't worry, with the foundation I'm going to even everything out so you can't really tell that her face is darker than the rest of her body. We're going to work it out, don't even worry. Using the P.Louise Room Base in the shade 0.5, I am now basing her lids for the shadow. So with this base, or any other base for that matter, it's really important to get that base as tacky as possible so the eyeshadow adheres to it. For my first shade, I am using the brown shadow from the Zulu palette by Juvia's Place. This happens to be one of my most favorite shades. I love how warm it is without being too aggressive. I really love it because you could fade it out so it's not too dark. I am using my Morphe M433 brush to apply this, and I am doing tapping in semi-circular motions to create almost a oval-like shape on top of her lid. I am bringing a lot higher than normal because her lids are hooded, and as you know, with hooded eyelids, you don't want to have the shadow too low because you wouldn't be able to see. So you definitely want to make sure you bring it a little higher than you normally would. a regular, you know, open spaced lid. And I'm doing the same exact thing to the other side. When I'm applying the shadow, I like to go kind of in a circular, like half moon motion, without really bringing it at the bottom of the lid, because I'm going to cover that up with a cut crease anyway, so it kind of defeats the purpose to put all that shadow on the bottom of the lid. Using the caramel shade from the Signature Drip palette, I am using a new M433 brush, and I'm applying that directly to the top. And this is just to deepen up the eye, give it a little bit of depth, and be a nice base for the cut crease. Anytime you dip into another shadow, you want to make sure you use a brand new brush. Otherwise, instead of it looking like 2 colors, it will look like 3. Using a big fluffy blending brush, I'm just diffusing the edges so it's not so harsh. I'm very lightly dusting away any harsh lines. Now I'm using my MAC Precision brush in the P.Louise Rumor Base once more, and I am drawing out my cut crease. I am doing a stamping drag motion. This helps with forming a really good cut crease. It's not my go-to method. I go in between stamping and dragging, as well as like tracing out and then pulling down. I maybe have to do a video, if I ever get around to it, of the different ways to do, the different techniques to do a cut crease. But this one happens to be a lot more accurate. So if you guys try that, let me know how that works for you. Basically what you're doing is just you're stamping your line and then you're dragging it out. And as you guys can see, her lid is actually pulling. That's what you want. You want to make sure all bases are covered when you do a cut crease. We're going to be working with matte shadow, so it's very important to cover the entire cut crease, making sure that that is completely covered. You want to have good coverage. Now I'm using a flat eyeshadow brush from Morphe. I believe this is the M167 brush, and I'm just bringing that base down a little bit and also taking away a lot of it. Because we're using matte shades, you don't want it to be muddy, you don't want it to be really messy, so it's important that you get your base as tacky as possible. We're going to be using a light shade as well, so you could see any imperfections behind that light shade, so it's very important to try to dry that cut crease off as much as possible. Also, what I like to do is hold the brow up. This expands the lid, so I'm able to get a better idea of how high I want to bring the cut crease. I could have brought this cut crease a little bit higher, considering her eyes are hooded. With hooded eyes, people think that you can't go as high as you want to go, and you really can, but it depends on the eye. If it's like deep set hooded eyes, no, I'm not going to bring it that high because it's going to look ridiculous when she opens her eyes. But her eyes were not deep set, so I was able to get away with a higher cut crease. I'm not really worried too much about how I'm going to close this cut crease because it's going to be covered up with shadow anyway, so I don't spend too much time worrying about how I close it. I did notice that on the other eye it wasn't as aligned as I liked it to be, so I just went back to adjust that. Using an all-over eyeshadow brush, I'm doing what I did with the M167 brushes, basically taking away any excessive product that is on the cut crease. Now I'm using the Pure shade from the Signature Drip palette, and I am tapping that light shade up there. You guys already know what's important when you applying light shadows to an eye. You want to make sure you tap that product up there. If you swipe to a windshield wiper motion, it would be extremely patchy, so it's important to tap that up there. Now I'm using the Pure shade, and this is like the best white shadow I've ever used personally. I'm also using a MaxLuxe Studio brush. I believe that's the 416 brush, and I'm popping that right in the corner of her eyes. I wanted like a slight contrast between the nude and the white, so I went back and forth between that the nude shade and the Pure shade just to make sure it ombres out evenly. Now I went back in with the caramel color, which I honestly should have used the brown shade from the Zulu palette. I didn't even realize that until now. I should have used the brown shade because that's what I started with first, but I ended up fixing it at the end anyway. I did that to the opposite eye. Used the brown shade first, and then I used that caramel color to close up that cut crease. And I'm just lightly pressing. I'm not really applying too much pressure because, again, we're working with light shades. Not this burgundy, obviously, but the lighter shade. And if I press too hard, it is a chance that I can mess up and it can get really patchy. So I did go ahead and pick up that blending brush just to diffuse the edges so it's not harsh. So of course I went with the brown from the Zulu palette, and then I went on top of that with the caramel shade from the Signature Drip palette. Picking up Celeste and Viola, the Max Matte Lipstick from MaxLuxe Studios. I did mix those two colors together because Viola is just a little bit too bright, but Celeste is a little bit too dark. So mix them together gives you that perfect like muted red. I really love this color. I picked up a MAC angled brush, and I am drawing a half wing liner. I did not bring this wing liner all the way out. I just kind of wanted it on an angle. Initially, I was just going to leave the red liner, but then I ended up adding some glitter, which you guys will see later. But yeah, I'm just doing the same exact thing that I did with the cut crease. I'm basically stamping and dragging just to make sure that those lines are as straight as I can get them. The beauty of Max Matte is that it allows you time to fix whatever you need to fix. So it doesn't dry down super duper fast as opposed to a lot of different other matte liquid lipsticks that dry down too fast. You can't fix them. So I love that it gives me that time to go ahead and fix whatever I need to fix. You guys, we are 12 minutes in, and I'm so excited that we have another almost 12 to go. I'm very proud that my tutorials are getting more lengthy because I'm able to really go into detail about certain steps that I feel like I kind of rushed through with my previous tutorials. So I'm really excited about that. Picking up my Ruby glitter from MaxLuxe Studios and my Max Hold glitter adhesive. I am putting that glitter right on top of that liner. Now, as you guys know, I was just going to leave the red, but I was like, no, I want to make it a little bit more glitzy. Her hair is red, why not? But you guys really don't need that as a guide unless your hand is not as steady. If your hand is not as steady, then yeah, go ahead, enjoy your lipstick liner, and then go ahead and put the glitter. But had I not did the liner, I would have just lined it with some glitter glue and threw the glitter up there. I am using a small smudge brush to apply the glitter, and then you'll see me kind of just fixing the glitter, making sure that everything is within that line. I didn't want any glitter outside of it because it looks really messy, so it's important that we pull the glitter down, making sure everything is as uniform as possible. Taking some white liner from Plan and Makeup by Yolanda, I am just adding a little bit of oomph. I just put a thin white line right on top of that glitter just to kind of give it a little bit more of a pop. To dry everything down, I am using my Max Mini Fan. This fan is on the site, so grab yours. This is perfect for trying to, you know, speed dry glitter, glue, liner, and to also dry up sensitive eyes. So go ahead and copy yours. We have two colors, Power Pink and Bold Black. Now I'm using the Calamine lotion, a very thin layer to go ahead and hit those zones that she gets oily in. And now for foundation, I'm using the Laura Mercier foundation, in the shade Chai and Buff. So because her face is a few shades darker than the rest of her body, I wanted to be really careful when it came to applying foundation. I did use more of an olive tone on her face because I didn't want to go too red because her natural undertone is not red on her face. It is on her body, but not on her face. So you want to be very careful when it comes to undertones and choosing the right shade for that. I did take my time and go in sections when blending it out as well, because when you apply foundation to some areas, it may dry down a lot faster, it may oxidize, and then you realize that's not the right color. So I made sure to go in sections when I applied her foundation. Now I am using the medium warm shade with a little bit of deep olive, e.l.f. concealers to line her under eye. And I'm using my MAC Precision brush to apply that. So nose contouring is back on my bad side. I think it's because I haven't really done faces that often, so I really like lost my technique. So I'm working on a new nose contour routine in the meantime, so y'all please don't judge me too harshly. I'm gonna get it together. I am blending out that highlight with a Real Technique setting brush as well as the Max Blur Beauty Blender. I just wet the blender, so that's why my hand looks a lot shiny. But yeah, this blender kind of just melts everything just together so nicely. I love how soft it is. It doesn't pick up too much product. It just blends product out so effortlessly. I love this Max Blur. So to bring back some of that warm undertone, I am using the Corrob shade from Black Opal to contour her. This has a warm undertone, and you know, like I said, the rest of her body has a red undertone, so I want to make sure I cater to that just a little bit if I could, and I ended up doing it with the contour. So I am using an angled fluffy brush to blend that out. And as you guys know, whenever you're working with a cream contour, you always want to set it with a powder, which I will be doing. I will be using the Fenty Beauty bronzer in the shade Mocha Mami to go ahead and set that contour. Using the 208 brush from the Max Blend Kit, I am blending out her nose contour, and now I'm using my DermaBlend translucent setting powder to go ahead and set that under eye highlight. Well, really all the areas that I highlighted. So I have been listening to you guys' suggestions and recommendations for new videos, and I will be getting a deep skin client in soon. You know, it's a lot more difficult than I thought it would be to find one. I don't have my usual go-to models like I did in Jersey, so it's taking me a little bit of time, but don't worry, as soon as I get my hands on one, that video will be out. I did pick up my NYX Jumbo Pencil in the shade Milk for her waterline. I was going to add some shadow, but I'm like, no, I really like the clean look that the white waterline just gives. Now I'm using the Laura Mercier blush in the shade Grapefruit, and I am blushing her up. Using my Shenise lashes from MaxLuxe Studios, I am popping on her lashes. And these particular lashes were like abnormally longer than the usual Shenise lashes. Y'all know every lash isn't created the same. So the lashes are not typically this long. This set that I pulled just happened to be this long. So, but they are very flary. They're just not typically this long. Making sure those lashes are as secure as possible. I did pick up my MAC applicator and just kind of press them together with her natural lashes. I also added some mascara to her natural lashes to pair them off camera. Now I'm using the foundation brush with no added product, and I'm just kind of dusting away any powder that was on the outside of her face. I'm leaving the powder on by her nose and under her eye a little bit longer so that it sets nicely. Y'all know I love a mattify under eye. So to line her lips, I am using the Celeste shade Max Matte Liquid Lipstick, and for the center I will be using Viola. The Celeste shade is a much deeper red. If you do your entire lips with this shade, it does come off like a warm brown, like a deep warm brown. But when you mix it with the Viola, which is like a cherry red, it just gives it such a nice hue. I just love it together. I love the ombre. It's like the perfect red lip for me personally. So like I said previously, because the Max Matte gives you time to adjust, to fix, to do whatever you need to do, it's very, very easy to clean up the lips without them being like super duper dry. It's a huge difference between a matte lipstick and a dry matte lipstick, and this gives you a little bit of moisture underneath. I am now cleaning up just the little imperfections around her lip with some concealer and a flat lip brush. This is an e.l.f. brush, a just random brush that I had, and I just wanted to clean up that one part of her Cupid's bow, because red lipstick, you can see everything. So yeah, to blend it out, I did use a Q-tip instead of a normal brush because I didn't want to make any marks in her foundation. Now I'm dusting away that powder that was sitting on her under eye with the foundation brush. I'm not using any more product. I don't want to add any more product. I'm just literally using any residual product that was on the brush. Now we're going to go ahead and add some mascara to her lower lashes. My disposable mascara wands haven't came in yet, so I'm doing a thorough deep cleaning after every freaking use. I mean, this is only my second face, but still, I do an extremely thorough cleaning of the wand, so don't worry. Now I'm using, clearly I forgot to show you guys, I'm using the First Place Loose Highlight for her highlights today, and it's going to be on the main points of her face, which are the apples of her cheeks, her nose, chin, and forehead. And I'll also be using that because it's also a body highlight on her chest area to kind of give her that radiant glow. This is a lighter shade. I love the grand prize for more of my deeper tones and First Place for more of the lighter tones. So if you own both and you're a makeup artist, trust me, this is going to last you a long time. It's a jumbo highlight, so it's going to last you a long time. Also, I failed to mention is the Max Glow from MaxLuxe Studios. I know y'all like First Place. Like, what? What's that? No, it's Max Glow, but this shade is First Place. Finishing her off with Morphe setting spray. Wow, we are finally at the finish line. I did want to add a pop of white in the inner corners just to kind of bring her eyes out a little bit more. And this is the completed look. Wow, I feel like it took us forever to get here. I always say that. But if you stuck around this long, I thank you so much. If you like this look, please give me a big thumbs up. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, BFFs. Bye.